if you could share with the audience a little bit of your experience. Some of you have already done this, experience working with Summit, and Maury, thank you so much for bringing up all the industry professionals that you're also working with and staff. So if any of you wants to fill in like what that support has looked like or how valuable that's been for you.
I can jump in on one thing there. I mentioned at the beginning that some, I'm already involved in the industry in my day job. You know, a lot of writers are kind of, writers fall into a couple different groups. There's a lot of the writers that aren't part of the industry really find it mystifying. I have like the opposite problem of fire hose. So Samit has been a really helpful person to me on our one-on-one mentoring focused on like looking at it as a writer. So this is maybe a good note for those of you who are considering taking the workshop who are maybe further along, maybe like you've tried querying before, you do have a general sense of the industry and like what you're supposed to do to get involved, maybe newly agented, maybe not. You're kind of in that like on that cusp and not quite sure how to tip yourself into the next stage of your career type thing. You know, our mentoring relationship has been really around like back and forth conversation where like I kind of take a lot of those anxieties around like I've seen a lot of behind the scenes aspect of publishing. I queried it for years and years, and only just got agented right as things started. So then it was like that like self doubt and the like different kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go on sub at some point here. How's that going to work? And he's able to kind of walk me through all the different like stages of things and like how do you shape, you know, what do you have control over and what do you not have control over? So a lot of the stuff that we ended up talking about was like career thinking and like and self control, self where your strength comes from, your staying power comes from, stuff like that. So that was really helpful to me. And I know that just to say, like, for those of you who are in that kind of intermediate spot where you're like, you could see something good happen or nothing, it could all come crashing down around you and you're not sure how to cope with the uncertainty. That has been really helpful to me.
It's also been, I don't know if many people come into this workshop like this, but I was like Tenmuri mentioned, like completely oblivious to what goes into writing a novel other than actually writing it. I didn't know that, for instance, you need an agent, or I didn't know what comps were. I didn't know anything, and the entire class and the staff have been very generous and accommodating and explaining things to me. And I think Summit's role mostly for me has been to reassure me about imposter syndrome and just be very encouraging and like push me to keep writing, which is, I think, what I needed at this stage. So I think it's like you get to co-create the space that you need with the instructor. I'm sure everybody's one-on-one sessions are very different, but that's been like the biggest and I think invaluable support for me.
It's funny to work with a single instructor for so long, but Simon is a very like pragmatic teacher, right? Like he's very honest about his experiences. He's very honest about what he knows about publishing, but he's also very much trying to help you with what you need at this stage and trying to keep you focused on this current stage, right? So for a lot of us, that takes the form of like, yeah, great, like, so like sit down and write now, right? Like that's what you should be doing. Uh, uh but he always has great answers for all of the larger questions that all of us come in with.
Yeah, it's so funny that you said that he was pragmatic, Will, because I found Summit like a book Yoda. You know, I would throw cosmic questions at it, and then he would like give them right back to me. And I think it's a real credit to Clarion that they're not just picking authors whose books are great, which is true of Summit, but they're picking authors who are thoughtful about the writer's process. They're good humans. Samit isn't like one of the most excellent humans I've ever met, and can really speak to like the suffering of the soul that you are when you're coming in there, whether it's about writing craft, like what Soren was talking about, or concerns. Like for me, I think, and I'm sure many authors might be thinking about this, but as a BIPOC author who works on issues of caste and race and gender and sexuality, I was really worried about the violence. And violence was actually really stopping me from writing because I was worried, just like how authors like N.K. Jemisin has faced, harassment for writing their truth. What would that be like, especially in this political climate? And I think Samit was so great about kind of pointing us to, we are truth tellers. There could be harm, but there's also safety. And that ultimately as artists, we have to create even in these times. And he would walk like this very cosmic line, but then also give you very tactical, smart solutions to your books and lift you up when you felt like you couldn't go forward. And for next year's class, for people that are thinking about applying, the author is Karen Lord. So you can, if you're thinking about applying, like read her work, think about and look at some of the interviews that she's given so you get a sense of her craft, and just trust that Clarion is picking someone who's wholly dimensional in their support for you, because that's really why so many of us are so tightly bound to each other, is we had a teacher that really was invested in creating community and creating art and lifting us up as artists in these very challenging times. And that makes all the difference in the world. Because I've been in workshops where they are more severe and the teacher's like all about the technique and not about you as a person. And that's not a Clarion ethos. And I think the fact that we are here to be able to bring these stories to you is because of the instructors, the staff, and the vision of Clarion.